neighborhood that our two families were the only Republicans. So, Henry, thank you for your service, not just as Attorney General, but 9 years was a record. You were the longest-serving chairman when you left the RNC, and your service has made all of this possible because the McMasters certainly were Republicans before it was cool. The Attorney General of the state of South Carolina, Henry McMaster.
It's a great pleasure to represent the Republican Party in South Carolina. As you all know, this is the greatest state in the country. I just came back from Charleston and speaking to a group and reminded them that in a recent magazine that gauges such things, Charleston is the second most popular tourist city in America. Second only to San Francisco. And that Kiowa Island is the most popular island resort in North America. So people are starting to discover what we have here. But the wonderful part about all this is that we have leadership that matches the goodness and greatness of this state. Our philosophy won the day on November the 2nd. There's no doubt about it. It's a good philosophy. And one of the leaders of our team, of course, was Karen Floyd. Through Herculean efforts, with not enough money, was able to support the candidates that were there to express that philosophy. So we owe her a lot. We owe a lot to anyone who is willing to get into this arena. And it is a tough arena on all sides, for those running, for those serving, for those covering them, for those trying to keep you. It is the most competitive arena that I know of. But we are fortunate in South Carolina to have the natural resources, and part of those natural resources are the people that we have. And we are fortunate in this state to have people, citizens, who are willing to get into that arena because they are proud of their state and they want to make it even better. Now, I will tell you that I believe with the team that we have in place now, and we will work with Democrats, we'll work with independents, we'll work with everyone, because they are not the enemy. The enemy is hunger, disease, poverty, ignorance, and despair. And we have the capacity to defeat all of those enemies. And this is the team that's going to do it. So, Karen, we're going to have to elect a replacement. It's going to be hard to find someone to fill your shoes. Sure, but the kind of leadership that this team is able to bring to the forefront for South Carolina is the kind that we must have more and more of. And I particularly would urge the young people, get involved in politics. If you want to do it, now is the time to do it, because as they said in that famous country song, the great philosopher Tim McGraw, I like it, I love it, we want some more of it. So that's what we're going to be looking for.
I don't know how many more times Henry and I will get this podium, but and it will be a question. Karen ran one time, Henry ran 5 times, and I ran 4 times. One time was against Henry, and he beat me.
Don't forget it.
I won't. But we would tell you that, especially for members of the press, we understand that party races are tough. Henry and I do. And we understand there's going to be a lot of interest. This is a presidential state that matters to the entire country who we nominate. We have set the tone since 1980, and we'll set the tone for 2012. And we would, Henry, I, and Karen would caution the candidates getting ready to run to make it a civil debate. Make it one about the future of our party and the future of our state. You have 9 constitutional officers looking down your shoulder, waiting on that. And right now, Henry, I think we have 8 that think they're running. It could be 10, could be 12. Henry and I say have at it. But, again, for the press, we understand that party races are tough. They're hard. When you start running in the heart and soul of the Republican Party, let me assure you when it's over, Henry, myself, Karen, Barry Wynn, the whole host will put it all back together again. But I warn you, they're good fights. And Henry, make a comment on it. You've been through 5, I've been through 4.
I've never seen like the attention that our wonderful state gets when we have those presidential primaries. And that's one more reason we need the young people to get involved, because all the presidential candidates will be coming through here. They've got to come through South Carolina, and it's at that time that we're able to impress on them our version of Republican conservatism. So we've got a unique opportunity, all of us, And I know with this great team that we have here, led by our fantastic new governor, Nikki Haley, we will be able to impress all the candidates with what we believe is the right thing for the Republican Party.
And I have to tell you, and I said this, and this was an Edie quote, this idea of standing on the shoulders of giants. There are giants and giants and giants that have come, and I can promise you this next person will lead so incredibly well. We just have to support them, and they will take it and do a tremendous job. Do we have anyone else?
I do.
Good.
I do. Right now, it's my pleasure to bring up the minority leader, somebody who has, whose family was also Republicans before it was cool. Kenny Bingham. Kenny.
Thank you.
Majority leader. Excuse me.
That's the wrong way.
I'm thinking about trying to get rid of that.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Kate, and ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I'm also speaking on behalf of Speaker Bobby Harrell, who could not be here, but he sent a statement that I'll read from him in just a minute. But as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I remember back 9 years ago, back in September, it was actually the week prior to September the 11th. I stood here, and Congressman Joe Wilson, at that time it was Senator Joe Wilson, was announcing his intent to run for Congress. As he stood here, surrounded by press, much like we have here today, the question was, what do you think is most important? And I remember, I'll never forget this day, Congressman Wilson said, well, it's our national defense. We really have to be focused on our national defense. And he talked at length about it. And I'll be honest, at that point in time, it was not a big issue across the country because everything was going very well. The markets were doing well, the economy was great, and everything was soaring, and everybody was all happy, and nobody was focused on national defense, but Joe Wilson was. And he felt that was important, and the press peppered him with questions about, well, there's got to be, what about education? What about the economy? What about these other things? And Joe kept going back to the national defense. 1 week later, 9/11 happened. And all of a sudden, everybody's disposition changed. And everybody was running around, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And the answer is we're going to do what we prepared to do in a situation like this. And the state of New York and the federal government responded incredibly well as a result of that disaster. But they did that because somebody had vision in advance before it was a problem, before it was a crisis, in order to recognize that. Flash forward to about 18 months ago when Karen Floyd was elected party chairman. I'd just been elected the majority leader, and my role as majority leader is to make sure we increase the majority of the House. Karen's role as leader of our party was to make sure that we increased and maintained our dominance in the state of South Carolina, our constitutional officers. We sat down and we started planning and we started talking about how we could work together in order to make sure that we were successful on Election Day. Now, at that point in time, people today say, well, there's this big Republican wave, and that's why you won, because there's a big Republican wave. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Karen Floyd understood well in advance, before there was a big Republican wave, before the things took place, that we had to be prepared to take advantage of a situation that ultimately did arise. And the reason we were able to take advantage of it is because we were prepared, because we had a leader who understood the importance of making sure that our party was ready to take advantage, and we were primed to go into these elections. I had an opportunity to travel with Karen Floyd from one end of this state to the other, all across for every single candidate. Not one time did I call her to go and speak on behalf of a Republican candidate to Karen say, I've got too much to do or I can't. She just says, tell me when and I will be there. And she was there, and she was campaigning hard, and for every single one of the constitutional officers behind us. Karen put that together, and Karen was the catalyst to it, and my hat's off to her. The House Republicans, we won seats that we've never been able to win before. And we're able to do that because we were prepared, because we had a leader at the top of the party who understood that back when it wasn't cool, back when there wasn't a movement, back when there wasn't a wave, because she understood the importance of what this election cycle could bring. And we were able to take advantage of it because of visionary leadership that took place long ago before people were piling on. And so I thank her personally for her work ethic and for everything that she has done for the House Republicans, as she made sure that we hit 75, which was our goal, and exceeded it, and we'll have 76 come December 14th when we pick up that Greenville seat. And now a statement from Speaker Harrell. As chairman, candidate for office, elected official, and public servant, Karen Floyd has worked tirelessly to better the lives of her community and the South Carolinians with conservative conviction and a fierce work ethic. During her tenure as South Carolina Republican Party chairman, Karen oversaw and organized, responsible for historic gains, an unprecedented election of all 9 statewide constitutional officers, the defeat of one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington, and the largest, most conservative majority ever before in the South Carolina House of Representatives. It is through Karen's determination and strength of character that the South Carolina Republican Party has continued to grow to monumental proportions. The work will start in January with the passage of conservative reforms. Securing our state's future would not be possible without Karen's leadership at the helm of the Republican Party during this momentous election. Thank you.
For some of you, I'd like to recognize probably the best politician we have of anybody, because he signed up for a primary and scared everybody off. General Bob Livingston. General, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you. How about
Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Karen, great day, great job. And I accept I see Karen in a little bit different light in that I represent a military office that in South Carolina also happens to be a political office. And Karen helped me personally and helped our campaign work through the nuances of the military piece, which is nonpartisan, and then the partisan portion of the elected office of the Adjutant General. And she did that with great grace and great insight, and we were able to allow the office of the Adjutant General to remain in the military realm. So as a service not only to the Republican Party but to the people of South Carolina, Karen, thank you so much for that, and congratulations on a very, very successful term.
Thank you very much.
Ken, we want to do questions real quick in case they have them? Ladies and gentlemen, we're done. Questions come individually. Thank you very much. Karen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any nice questions? You know, I'm going to fill out, I think Chairman Dawson said it really well. I've got 6 months. We're going to reorg. We spend every penny the party has to win these elections, so we're going to build back our coffers. And then there'll be some tremendous candidates that will come up. We'll step aside, and the next person we'll pass the baton to. But that's as it relates to the party. Personally, after this, and it was funny, Angel and I were talking about this on the way over here, I want to run another marathon, and we're launching a tile accessory business, and it's going to be launched in probably between 4 to 6 weeks, and so we have some real business opportunities that we're going to be doing, and then I'll kind of move over and go back into my world. Thank you.
Some folks referred to internal squabbles among comments. Some party folks have been a little dissatisfied with some of the party's spending priorities. How do you address that?
Yeah. You know, the great thing about Republicans is we are the party of individuals, and we think it's very healthy to have transparency and to have dialogue and questions, and I think it's part of being a Republican. It is about being open and honest and dealing with everything that comes to you, and frankly, if we all got along, I would say that there was some disingenuity because people don't all get along.
With Republicans controlling a larger majority than ever in the State House, they control all 9 constitutional offices, will those debates become louder? Will they become more frequent?
You know, my hope is not. My hope is that we become more unified than ever before because we ultimately understand that we have to serve the people of the state of South Carolina. And I think that the governor-elect, when she talks, there's a part of what she says that resonates so much with me, and it's about subordinating our personal interest to the bigger picture of the state of South Carolina. And I think that you're going to see a lot more of that, I certainly hope.
Party folks who accused party staff of listening in on a phone conversation, is there going to be any fallout from that?
This is a great celebration. I said, no, not nice questions. I'm going to end it with that. Thank you all so much.